Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. This stepbrother's business ventures may flop, but his talent for turning family drama into a full-time job is unmatched. Today in the rLounge, it's all fun and games until someone loses an inheritance. Stepbrother ambushed me to give away my inheritance as I earned more, so I cut him off financially. I, 36 female, am married with 2 kids. My problem is not my marriage, knock on wood, but my stepbrother, Rob, 28 male. My parents divorced when I was 10. My mom remarried a few years later to my stepdad, who recently had a divorce and a son, Rob, from his previous marriage. Rob and I had the age difference of 8 years, which quickly made me his protective elder sister. It was fun to have him in my life. My parents had a rough marriage. I felt lonely and anxious amidst their fights. Even after the divorce, it was lonely for me. Rob came like sunshine in my dull life. He has always been very active and naughty, but he loved me as his sister. Our age difference played out well for us. My stepdad got him admitted to my school, so it was easier for them to pick up, drop us at school. As an elder sister, I watched out for him. Our parents were thrilled to see us getting along so well because, usually, step-siblings don't bond easily. Fast forward to adulthood. Life took us on different paths. I was fortunate enough to land a high-paying job in a tech industry straight out of college. My career took off quickly, and I started earning 6 figures. I worked hard, put in long hours, and climbed the corporate ladder. As you can guess, it wasn't easy. I had to slog my butt off for every penny I made. Rob, on the other hand, struggled to find his footing. He is more easygoing and has a laid-back attitude in life. Now, he is a job hopper. He bounces from job to job, never really settling into a career. Twice, he has started something on his own, but his business doesn't last longer than a fortnight. He has big dreams and ambitions, but can't seem to make them a reality. His passion is always changing. Whenever I meet him, he has different plans in life, but never concrete. He'll rant about his fancy dream job or lucrative business ideas, but it is all castles in the air. He is mostly leading a hand-to-mouth life. Our career differences never came in our way of sibling bonds. We always remained close. It was always so fun to be around him. At least I found it fun. After seeing him nag for the last few months, I doubt his intentions of spending time with me. I have started second-doubling him that it was all about money for him. I was the first person he called in trouble. I have lost the count of times I have bailed him out of his financial crisis. There were so many times when I rescued him from the landlord who locked him out of his apartment because he defaulted on rent. It was at least thrice when I paid his credit card bills because the bank was chasing him for payment. There were countless times he had borrowed money from me for something or other. I earned decent, so a few bucks here and there I didn't mind. Moreover, I wanted to see him succeed and was more than willing to support him. Rob gets well with my husband and kids. He is the fun Uncle Rob to my children. We often go on vacations together. I should mention he comes in handy to manage the kids during trips. You can imagine the bond we share, and that's the reason I'm torn between his demands and my wishes. I think I have given enough context. Let me get to the point. A year back, we lost our parents tragically in a car accident. They were coming back from their 25th anniversary vacation. It was a devastating blow to both of us. Losing both parents at once is the worst you can experience. Amid the grief, we had to deal with the legalities of their estate. The will was straightforward. Everything was to be divided equally between Rob and me. I think it was fair. My mom and dad both had worked hard, so it was fair that it gets divided equally. However, I think Rob had a different opinion. When he got to know that it was even, he started comparing his dad's salary to my mom's. I think he wanted to make a point that since his dad earned more than my mom, he should have gotten more. He didn't say anything outrightly, but he wanted to draw everyone's attention to that theory. I'm sure if he didn't owe me any money, he would have challenged the will. He didn't contact me for many months after the will disclosure, which was unusual because he often shows up or at least calls or texts me in a month or so. Almost 5 months after our parents' funeral, he approached me with a proposition. We met at a cafe, and after some small talk, he came straight to the point. Look, I know you're doing well for yourself. You're earning a lot more than I ever will, so I think it's only fair that you give me your share of the inheritance. You don't really need it, do you? I was taken aback. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I replied, trying to stay calm, Rob, our parents wanted us to share everything equally. It's what they intended. He insisted, yeah, but you don't need it. I do. I've been struggling, and you know that. It would make a huge difference in my life. I tried to reason with him that it was not about who needed it more, but about equality. I assured him I'd continue to help him if he needed it. He flipped out on hearing this and said I enjoyed pulling favors on him because that made me feel better about myself. I was aghast at his blow. Like, really? I just couldn't wrap my head around his accusations. I said that was it. I'm not going to indulge in any further discussion. He immediately apologized and said he was in stress due to his financial instability. He said, "Dude, I'm 28. I don't have a stable income. I have maxed out my credit card. More often than not, you bail me out of financial crisis. I really don't know what to do in my life." I said, "I understand his situation, but I cannot let go of my inheritance because it holds a sentimental value for me." But he can't stop nagging, saying that since I was already financially stable, it was only fair for him to have the entire inheritance. My mind was racing with all sorts of emotions. I told him we'd discuss it later, and left the cafe. I know that Rob's demands are unreasonable and unfair. It isn't about the money. It's about his attitude and the way he is trying to manipulate me. The thing is, I do care for him. After the death of my parents, he's the only one left I can call family, apart from my own husband and children. Now, I don't know what to do. My husband wants to stay out of it because he doesn't want to land up in trouble by meddling in sibling matters. He has seen how close we are. You know how siblings are. We can fight to the death, but won't allow others to meddle. I discussed this with my friends, and one of them suggested I give some portion of my inheritance, maybe 10 to 20% to help him out of his financial crisis. I'm not being greedy, but I don't want to part with even a penny of my inheritance. What would you guys have done in my situation? Who knew sharing could be this complicated, right? On one hand, he's Uncle Rob, the fun-loving, kid-wrangling hero of family vacations. On the other hand, he's like a financial tornado, leaving a trail of unpaid bills and credit card max-outs. And here you are, caught in the middle of this inheritance telenovela, trying to maintain the peace while protecting your sentimental slice of the pie. It's a classic case of, I love you, bro, but I love my inheritance more. Who knew family could come with such an expensive subscription fee, right? Maybe a compromise could work, like giving him a cut with a terms and conditions apply clause. Like, sure, Rob, here's your share, minus the nag tax and a handling fee for emotional distress. Or maybe suggest he invests in a new business idea, a reality check on the true value of family bonds. Update 1. Hello all. Thanks for affirming. It was absolutely about equality. As I responded to some of the comments, our parents raised us with equal privilege. We went to the same school, our parents paid for both of our college tuitions. When we were given equal opportunities, then it was on him that he didn't utilize the resources to the best. In fact, I invested a portion of his business a few years back, but his careless attitude doesn't let him thrive. Sorry, I left my last post midway. So, after the first interaction, he followed up with me a week later. He asked me what was my decision. I asserted that I wasn't comfortable parting with my inheritance. He kept pestering me. Do you even need it? I said it doesn't matter whether I need it or not. I want it, and that's it. He just refuses to back off from his nagging. Rob is that typical younger sibling who nags his way to what he wants. The more he pushed, the more I realized this wasn't about fairness or need. It was about entitlement. Rob felt entitled to my share of the inheritance simply because I am more successful in life. He refused to consider my reason. His growing sense of entitlement left me with a sinking feeling in my stomach about his true intentions. Apart from this topic of inheritance, we continued to bond over other things. He started visiting my place as usual. However, more often than not, he would bring up the topic of inheritance. Whether it was my raise or my husband's, he would comment, "See, you guys make so much money. Still, you're behind the inheritance." At one point, we stopped sharing any good news with him. I could see our sibling bond getting severed, but there was nothing I could do. Rob texted me as to why I was not calling or texting me these days. I said I was busy. A week ago was my son's birthday, and Rob showed up with gifts and cake as usual. He never forgets our special days. That's the reason I feel terrible about losing my bond over inheritance. He stayed back for the night. We have a spare room for him in our house. Later in the evening, he came to me and started with the failure story of his recent business. I understood where it was leading. Inheritance, that's right. I lost my patience midway and said, "Is it going to end where you ask me to give away my share? If yes, then I'll spare you some time and energy. Still no from me." I was firm in my decision. Our parents had intended for us to share it equally, and I was going to honor their wishes. He was like, "Hear me out first. Let him complete it." This time he wanted me to invest in his business. Still no from me. He was like, "Why not?" I said, "I have invested in your business twice in the past, and I have seen it crumbling to pieces. So as a wise investor, I don't intend to take this risk again." He tried to reason out the failure of his last business, that it was because of low capital, etc., etc., but I made it clear that I didn't want to put any more bets on him. He didn't take it well. He accused me of not caring about his struggles. He even tried to guilt trip me by bringing up all the times I'd helped him in the past, and said I owed him this one last time. It was a painful conversation, but I stood my ground. I had to. I couldn't let him manipulate me into giving up something that wasn't his to claim. The inheritance was a gift from our parents, and it was meant for both of us. He left my house in the middle of the night. My husband pitched in and asked him to calm down and stay until morning. but he didn't listen to him and pushed off. My husband didn't like the way things went between us. He said it shouldn't have hurt us to give some portion of it to him or maybe invest in his business. I asked him if we should invest in him despite knowing his past track record. He left the conversation saying it was my decision, what I wanted to do. I feel having Rob in our lives comes with a cost which is becoming expensive with every passing day. Previously, I used to help him because parting with a few bucks and even a few grands didn't hurt, but now it's a matter of my parents' hard-earned money. I can't shower on him. I don't know what to do. Do you guys think it would be wise to invest in his business for one last time and see where it leads? I mean, demanding your inheritance is one thing, but asking for another round of business investments after a track record like his? That's like betting on a horse that's never finished a race without tripping over its own hooves. It's like Rob's running a family-friendly Ponzi scheme where the only guaranteed return is a headache for you. And his emotional blackmail tactics? That's straight out of the playbook titled, How to Guilt Trip Your Sibling into Financing Your Dreams. Honestly, if you do decide to invest, make sure you bring along a financial exorcist to banish those business demons. After all, if his business were any more unstable, they'd come with their own Richter scale rating. Update 2. Hello all, thanks for your perspective. Some of you commented about why only I need to pay the price of having him. That hit me hard. I never thought from that angle. He never had to invest anything in our relationship. Yes, he loved my kids and shared a good bond with my husband, but I'm also warm with his close friends and girlfriends. I host them in my house whenever I can. Beyond this, I invest monetarily in this so-called sibling bond. Anyway, there's no brooding on this point because I've cut him off financially, and I think he won't be interested in having anything to do with me without money. After my last update, I was in fact thinking about lending him some money for his new business venture. Yes, he started a new business with his inheritance money. However, soon enough I got to know from a distant aunt that he was bad-mouthing me in front of the relatives. Last month it was my stepdad's nephew's, Rob's first cousin's, wedding. I wasn't invited. I'm not in touch with them. Everyone knew our parents were well off and would have left a substantial inheritance to us. So people asked Rob about it. He used that as an opportunity to call me selfish and greedy. He told everyone that it was unfair that I got the equal share because his dad earned more than my mom. You know how relatives are. Most of them affirmed his understanding to boost his ego and hear him complain about me. People love gossip, don't they? That aunt actually called me to get my side of the gossip. So she first told me what Rob had blabbed at the wedding. I listened to her attentively and said, "Oh, okay, cool, got it," and hung up. I know how these people are. I could have thought that she was lying, but she quoted some of the incidents that Rob had told them. Rob was the only one who knew about this so clearly that he leaked our personal information, like my husband's promotion last quarter. Rob told them that I and my husband earn so much and we have acquired so much wealth, yet I am behind his dad's hard-earned money. According to Rob, the asset division should be 70-30 between him and me, and that's why he's asking for 20% of my share. Do you think it's fair? Though I didn't react to that aunt over the call, but I was fuming with anger. Without thinking twice, I called up Rob and confronted him. He was shocked. I didn't tell him the source, but I told him everything I heard from aunt. He tried to defend, saying people were creating a feud because they were jealous of our closeness. I didn't buy it because I knew he had talked trash about me. I told him I was cutting him off and that he should never contact me. Cutting off Rob was the toughest decision of my life. I felt like I was losing a friend, losing my past. We have so many great memories together, but I knew it was the right decision. I couldn't continue to support someone who didn't appreciate it and who was trying to take advantage of me. Rob, on the other hand, opened a new restaurant, but he didn't even invite me. To make me feel worse, he threw an inauguration party and called all our friends and relatives. I got to know about his new venture through their Facebook posts. It was heartbreaking. I know I cut him off, and I'm not trying to count my favors on him, but you see, after everything I have done for him, this is what I get in return. The worst part is that my children are asking about their Uncle Rob, and I hate to lie to them. Obviously, I cannot tell them about the fallout. They are too young to understand that. Next month, we are going hiking, and my kids are behind me asking why Rob is not coming with us. First, he's bad-mouthing you. Then he opens a restaurant without inviting you? That's cold, even by restaurant industry standards. And the Facebook snub? That's just adding insult to injury. If it were me, I'd start thinking about writing a Yelp review of his new place. Great food, terrible family etiquette. But hey, at least your kids are asking about Uncle Rob, right? That's proof you've been doing a great job raising them. Update 3. Here's what happened next. After cutting off Rob, I focused on moving forward. I put my energy into my career, my children, and my own well-being. It wasn't easy, but I found solace in the fact that I was honoring my parents' wishes and standing up for myself. Rob's sense of entitlement was a harsh reminder that it's crucial to set boundaries and to ensure that our kindness isn't mistaken for weakness. Life is too short to be weighed down by toxic relationships and unreasonable demands. Only after 7 months of his new restaurant, I find Rob at my door. He was in distress. I wished I had sent him away from the door to save myself from another difficult conversation, but my children ran towards him and he picked them up in his arms. How do I tell my children that we don't get along with Uncle Rob anymore? He played with them like usual and then caught up with my husband. I remained silent for most of the time, trying to gauge his motive. His presence brought back the fun we had earlier. Everything was going smooth until he brought up the topic of his business. I asked him sarcastically, "Which business are you talking about?" "Oh, the fancy restaurant in the Heartland? The one in whose inauguration bash you forgot to invite me, right?" He was like, "Oh, you care about not being invited? I thought you had better things to do in life. That party was for the losers who don't have a life. You guys can travel the continent for a weekend." He winked, trying to be funny and flattering. I rolled my eyes, and he went on ranting about his crumbling business. He had put all of his inheritance money to launch a fancy restaurant at the heart of the downtown. After burning all the money, he realized he didn't do enough planning, and now he's exhausted all the capital. He has nothing left to keep the machinery going. He served premium alcohol at cheap prices to acquire customers. His restaurant used to be full by 7 p.m., and it was difficult to get a table without pre-booking. He thought that had to be successful, and he did not calculate the money he was burning from his pocket to serve almost free food and drinks to the customers. However, when he realized that it was now time to pull the strings and increase the price, the customers abandoned his restaurant. He says he got pranked by the customers. Honestly, I don't blame the people. Who doesn't like to enjoy premium food at cheap rates, and if you suddenly increase the price, anyone would feel betrayed and abandon you? He argued that this is how big businesses are running. I asked him then why your business failed and others were running successfully. He remained silent for a few minutes and went away to play with my children. He came back with my younger one in his arms and softly asked me if I could bail him out one last time. He is such a manipulative dog. He knows I cannot raise my voice or say anything rude in front of my children. I gestured at him to drop the kids to their room, and we talked in private, but he insisted on an answer right there. I said, "If you want to have it this way, sure. For the last time, I'm not investing or lending you any money for your business or personal use, whatever, and I'm not giving you a penny from my inheritance, and I'm not helping you financially ever again. If you want to continue our sibling relationship beyond money, I'm up for it. But if you don't want it without money, I'm fine with that too. I don't want to pay the price for having a brother in my life." I kept my voice low to not scare my children, but it was firm. He looked at me with disbelief, scoffed, and then kissed my son on the forehead and put him down. He looked at me and said, "You're unbelievable. You need to chill. Clearly you don't have business acumen. That's why you're working your butt off for others. Anyways, hope you know you cannot take the money to your grave." I wanted to yell my lungs out, but somehow held back because of my children. He left the house and I followed him to slam the door behind him. My husband was doing something on the front porch. He asked Rob if he was leaving. He replied loudly so that I could hear him, "Yeah, perhaps I need to find another sister because the existing one loves money more than her brother." My husband asked him what did he mean. He said nothing and left. My husband came inside and I narrated him everything. He's sad that things went south between us. I do feel bad for cutting him off from my life, but I think that's the best thing to protect my interest. In the end, we all deserve to be treated with respect and fairness. It's important to stand up for ourselves and to ensure that our kindness isn't exploited. I mean, trying to guilt trip you into funding his sinking ship of a restaurant is like asking the Titanic for a loan to patch up the iceberg hole. First, he's kissing babies and playing the perfect uncle. Then he's slinging insults faster than a bartender during happy hour. In the end, though, cutting him off was the right move. Who needs a brother who treats you like the bank of mom and dad crossed with a punching bag for his ego? Stay strong and keep your doors locked against financial vampires. What would you have done? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon. And please put your chair back where you found it.